Hey, handy people, Dan here. Hey, I'm about to make some noise and some grinding dust. I'm gonna go under this Saffron car and get it ready for the front wheel drive swap. So this is the front wheel drive rear end and it's all the pieces you need. Most of it comes out when you drop it from the car, but there's several things I'm going to do yet. Number one is I'm going to change the springs. I'm going to put some IPD overload springs. Number two is I'm going to change the shocks. I'm not sure what I'm going to do just yet, but Coney kind of keeps calling my name. Number three is I've got new bump stops coming. And so I've disassembled the bump stops, and I'll show you how I assemble those in a future video. Number four is these are the spring perch plates. You need those as well because there aren't any on that all-wheel drive car. Number five is the brake line needs to be repaired. Number six is there's some evap hoses back here, the J hose and whatnot, they're all broken. Seven is a new fuel filter. Let's see. 8 is is both of these guys are going to get replaced because obviously we prepped for the manual swap. And let's see. I think that's it. But right now, why don't you join me underneath this car? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. If you notice inside here, there's two bumps. One there, one there. That's the one I got to get rid of because it's in the way of the front wheel drive suspension. I mean, I could take them both out, but you don't have to take that back one out. It doesn't bother anything. So the front one's got to go. And same on the other side. And the other side, I'll show you, has a bolt stuck in it that I'm gonna grind off too. So I'll grind that guy off and that bolt off. And then there's a hole I gotta drill underneath, but I'll show you that when I get under there. So, of course I got all this stuff laying around the floor. Looks like a hodgepodge, but there's really method to the madness. But I just cut off a bracket that you have to take off when you're doing this job, and it's a bracket that sits right here. If you look at the wheel well, you see there's a rear bump bracket right here. That's a bracket, but you don't have to take that one off. But you do have to take this front one off because it gets in the way of the front wheel drive rear suspension. You notice I carefully cut it, and I used my grinder with a metal cutting wheel. Now I'm about to kind of smooth it out with this flapper wheel. It's a high-speed deal, and you need the same protection, hearing protection and eye protection. Creates a lot of dust, throws a lot of sparks. Don't have any fuel around. I've got an empty fuel tank that's all sealed off. I don't have any fuel on the ground, nothing spilled. I'm keeping everything kind of away from where I'm working. I already did the other side. Now I'm going to work on this side now. I'm going to use the flapper wheel. I'm going to roll around. So I'm going to sweep up the ground a little bit first, and then maybe just kind of get it out in a pile out of the way, and then I'll come back at this. But I use two tools to be on the ground. One is this rubber mat, which is a wonderful thing. I can kneel on it. The other is that rolling creeper. A lot of people say, how can you do this job without a lift? This is how. I got some big jack stands. I got the car, the back end kind of jacked up. I've got a good 2 feet here to the ground. From here down to the ground is a couple of feet, and up in here it's 3 feet. Plenty of room to work. Is it the most comfortable thing in the world? No. So if you got to be the most comfortable in the world, this ain't it. However, the nasty part is not that bad. Taking these off is probably the nastiest part. in my opinion, because you got sparks and stuff. And, you know, you wear dirty clothes, or wear, you know, clothes you don't mind getting a little burn hole in or whatever. Because you're burning metal, you're cutting metal. I am gonna change, if you see over here, when the Niva mats go bad, the tires sometimes will rub under load, and that's what happened there. So I harvested this rear wheel well from that guy from the other side. And I'm gonna check the other wheel well. If it's got holes worn in it, I'll change it too. These are the kind of things I like to do while I'm in the middle of a project like this. I like to freshen things up, as they say. And yeah, it's more work, but at the end, you know, you're putting on, I'm gonna do all new springs, got some IPD overloads. I've got some new struts coming, some conies, I'm gonna pop those on. I got hoses to replace the broken ones here. I got a brand new fuel filter that's gonna go on. Yeah, so I'm gonna get these things done. My next move is get this cleaned up a little bit under here, and then I will maybe do a little painting with some Rust-Oleum product just so it doesn't rust, where I've gone to the bare metal. And then I start popping on my new fuel tank and the lines and get that taken care of. And once I redo this, shouldn't take too long, get that up in there and secure. And then it's on to the next step, which will be finish putting that guy together. The bushings are good because it's only 119,000 original miles. I've got an IPD sway bar for it. I've got new bump stops, etc. New fuel filter. And this thing will be a really nice addition to the SAF. It's gonna sit nice. I like it because it's got a little forward rake on it when you put the IPD springs in. Some people don't like that, I do, especially in Michigan winters. Anyways, let me get back to this. I'm gonna make some more mess, and then I'll show you what I completed. So in getting this one strut off, or one rear shock off, the S70 rear end, it didn't want to come. I didn't want to heat it. I didn't want to heat that bolt. So I tried prying, hammering, tried a pulley puller. That didn't work very well. It didn't work, period. And now I tried a ratchet strap going from here over to here, and look at it. It's coming off. Now I've hit it with PB, and I tried sawing on it. I just couldn't get a good angle at it. I was gonna get my grinder next if this didn't work, but it looks like this is gonna work. Oh yeah. Ooh, I hear some music. Somebody's out in my driveway. I better check it out. Come on, let's go. What's going on out here?
I don't know what's going on here.
Man, look at this. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What?
Oh my God.
Look what's in my driveway. Well, it came at the right time with the winter. Wow.
Yeah, this for some people were just on smoke break. This showed up, and I mean, I don't know. Like, do you know this guy?
I don't know, but I heard the music. Ooh, look at that. I understand that's a 4T5 motor out of an 09 S60 T5. Like, that's one bad boy. I've had one. I've had those. Those are top shelf. Check this out. Check this out. You got the tunes of bumping and thumping. Got the JBL bass. Now, what option is this? The mobile party option. I like it. Check this out. Check this out. LED light that swivels. Oh, I gotta get one of those. lots of goodies in this car. This car is awesome.
So mobile party supply companies ordered this option. Mobile party supply companies, you can order this option.
I see. And so in case you get a little crazy on the off-road, you have the traction, what are those called?
Max Track.
Max Tracks, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Thule.
They're good for mud, sand, and snow, and they work really well.
This is my good friend Roland. He's paying a visit. He came all the way from Niles, Michigan today.
Niles, Michigan. Cross country.
This is sweet.
This is Chris Anderson, base Niles, Michigan.
There's Chris. Hi, Chris.
Yep.
And Jim.
He's holding.
What's happening, Jim?
Right.
My old friend Jim
He's
Vanderkeef.
holding the southern base, and that's right, in this Grand Rapids division. And here's Kalamazoo. Here's Kalamazoo division.
And check out these rims with the R brakes and the BBS.
Yep.
Those are those cool lightweight wheels. And the Geolanders. Man, this is one cool ride. Oh yeah. Hey, handy people, Dan here. Hey, I'm working on the Saff, doing that rear end swap on it, and I'm getting there. So let me show you what I'm doing. Come on. So the Saff's, I got all the parts prepped. Okay, the lines are ready. Those are all the fuel and return lines. Repaired this guy. This was broken. So you can tell I did electrical repair in there. So for the switch wiring for this on-off switch, this was bad, and so was this, and I replaced them both. They're a little dirty from my hands working on them, but yeah, they're on there. They're fresh. New fresh fuel filter. I got to get a bolt and bolt it down, and then of course it's got a new fuel pump. So that pretty much concludes all the freshening I need to do to the fuel tank system. So hopefully, I also cleaned and painted both fuel tank straps with oil-based enamel. So yeah, they should be good. And all underneath, everywhere where I cut or cleaned, I used black Rust-Oleum, and I'm thinking you can probably see I used it. Is it perfect? No, but it's pretty good. And also did the I gotta walk around this way. I did the rear all-wheel drive hitch assembly. I painted it with the same Rust-Oleum. Went through both sides and cleaned everything up to the best of my abilities. And yeah, you can see a lot of Rust-Oleum was applied. I thought I got every spot that I'd sanded or was bare metal or had a little rust or corrosion. And yeah, cleaned her up. So next step, install that fuel tank and those fuel lines. So today was productive. Starting out, we detailed the fueled area, and obviously you see there is a gas tank in, and gas is all set. The fuel tank is mounted. You can see the straps are secured. We've got the evap canister mounted. I got to get a screw in that guy right there, in that fuel filter. But fuel lines are all run all the way to the front, which is big. Got a little more fastening to do. I got the spring perches painted and mounted. And next up is this guy. I just got this end bolted up. The stock bolts are too short for this IPD bar, so I had to pull some bigger ones out, which those are working. And yeah, tomorrow will be, well, it depends. We got a lot of family things going on, but I've got new bump stops, and I'm ready to put this guy back with the new IPD overload springs. Those are coming too, so I mean they're here, but and then the Coney shocks. I do have to pull this mud flap and fender liner, and I'll show you the other side. It really helps. It's actually almost a must, is pull the fender liner out of the passenger side, because that way you can get in and get up and put the fuel hose or the fuel inlet funnel into into place. And yeah, slowly but surely we have the car coming together. So next up, we've got the springs on. Now these guys, this is the top, so this sits in here, and then it just gets held in place because the spring's pinched against the body of the spring perch. That goes in there, but here's the rest of the equation. We have the new fresh bump stops. Those sit on there. This goes inside the bump stop, in the fresh new bump stop, pushes through, and eventually goes down into here. So it goes in here, down through here, and then push it. I'm gonna have to use a tool to push on it and make it seat in that hole there. Then once it's seated, I drive this pin inside, which kind of finishes the JOB. And that's basically the trick. And the key is get it on there and push it in, and yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna use either the end of that. No, that won't fit. This will fit, I think. Yeah, just barely. I think that'll fit. If not, I gotta get something else. But basically what you want is something you can put a lot of pressure on. I'm gonna try a 1/2-inch drive extension. I think that might work the best. So, using this 1/2-inch extension, I hit that down in there, and then I used my hammer, and I hit the top of this, and it seated that plastic piece. You can see it now down in the inside there. So this thing's on. Now I gotta put my driver pin in, and you gotta be nice and straight with it. And I drop it. I'm using long hemostats to insert it, if I can get it in. Okay, I'm gonna need 2 hands. Well, I got the pin in. I ended up taking the edges of the tip of the pin and just shaving them down a little bit so it was a little pointier. And then I was able to get it to set in there, and then I set this guy on top and hit it with a hammer, and that seated it. So, 1 bump stop done. Here's the pin, and you see I tapered the tip. That does help. Okay, side 2, pinned in. Nice and clean. And in she goes. There we have it. All right, the springs are on. We got the conies hanging. Yeah, things are looking better. I'm tempted because there's some rust on this. I'm gonna hit this with some Rust-Oleum, I think. Just butter it up. I got some more bolts here to tighten. Get that done and finish that sway bar setup done. And then, yeah, I think I'm gonna paint the calipers while it's up here and clean those rear rotors up a little bit. And then, I mean, there's a lot of meat left on them, and they're good. They've just been sitting. So we onward and upward. So things are a little crusty down here. And this line has seen better days. So I've got a replacement line, which is good, and I got to get that guy off. So I'm going to use my acetylene, a little bit of PB Blaster, and here's a new hose. This is an old one I've had for a while, but it's brand new in the package. And it's a PEX, German. So, hoping, yeah, that should do the trick. The rear end is hung with the greatest of care, with hopes that front wheel drive will soon be there. We've got a nice hitch. It's all cleaned up. We need the dual exhaust to finish this pup. Oh yeah. Getting closer. Another little trick we did was we fished this wire. It's about a foot long with a little hook on it down over the side of the tank on that side. You can see where these lines are coming. These are the ABS leads, and they are part of the rear end assembly. So you've got to sneak these up the side of the tank. And so to do that, we used this wire with a hook, and my son kind of pushed the wire down, and I was able to put that little loop on it and then tie that end to the end here, and we fished it right on up. That's something you'll want to do, and it's an important step. Now all our wires are up here. I got to get those connected and get that all buttoned up. Then I can put the back end back in it. Imagine that. First I'm going to try and see if you know how it runs, I guess, before I button it all the way up. That'd probably be the wise move. So anyways, there you have it. So one of the things that I did was I harvested from another parts car a complete set of brake lines. This is from an 850 wagon, and I'm glad I did, because I was able to get a couple of these off. If you notice, these are broken here and there, and then this one also suffered a similar fate. And these push up onto the same screws that those plastic nuts go on the bottom of the car, and these are no good. These are broken. I found I could remove them from here if I carefully, maybe I can show you on this one that has a partial. When this is in the line and it's hooked on the line, if you just try pulling it off, that's how these snap off. What you have to do, see if I can pick this up with these pliers. You have to get the pliers on, oops, wrong side. This one's still got a little part of a tab. You get your pliers on that tab and compress them. See how it compresses? They won't break doing that, but you won't get the brake line off this thing without breaking it unless you do this. And you do a little at a time on both sides, and voila, I was able to pop off one of these clips without breaking it. Now I broke the first couple I tried to get off, which renders them pretty much not as useful. If they have one clip, they're still useful for one line, but this one, both clips broke. So, because you need 2 of these. See, that one's gone. And that, when the line goes in there, that captures it and holds it. And then this pushes, you put that side is up, and that pushes on that threaded thing. You kind of see the threads are in there to accept it. Okay. Now this is still looks good, like as far as pushing up and holding. It would, but it can't hold the line, so it's really not that useful. But I took, because I had, you see there's still another one there, and another type there, and another one there. There was multiples on here. On this spare line, I was able to salvage some. You know, a lot of times in these jobs, it's the little things that you overlook, and suddenly you're caught dead in the water. Obviously, a brake line's an important piece, right? So I'll show you next underneath.
Okay, we're under the car now. This is the original line, and you see it goes all the way. Note there's one of those. Note there's 2 of those, but this one has a good clip, and this one had a bad socket, so it wasn't holding on the pin. It's now holding on the pin, and I didn't want to yank that one off. I just tucked it next to him. This is the holder, and this one's kind of helping, I guess. This is pinned in good. All these had to come off, and it came off this piece here, and then runs up into the ABS block, the hose block that's by the ABS module. So that's where I disconnected it. However, I didn't need to take that line off. He didn't need to come off, because this came from the all-wheel drive car. This was original to the Saff wagon, and I've got it connected in. I put that new hose on the rear, and I've got it connected in. Now I had to bend this a little bit, not a whole lot. It actually wasn't tough at all. And I mean, like this, all these beds are native. I just had to do a little work up here. And I mean, I did it with my bare hands. It was not that difficult. And I've got plenty of room so I can hang a rubber muffler hanger on there. And yeah, I'm gonna be fine. And I was able to keep this piece, or retain this rubber piece and put it back on. So that's nice. Cleaned it, of course. And wow, I'm kind of excited because I've got the complete rear end in. The brake lines are now in. The fuel lines are in. I got to do a little more work on a couple of fuel lines, and I got a little more work in the engine bay. But tomorrow I think I'm going to get my gas can filled and put a gallon of gas in this thing and fire it up and see what's going on and see if I have any problems. I'm very excited. I'm excited to be at that stage, and pretty soon this car will be on the road. That's my big hope. I wanted it to be done by the new year, and it looks like it is. So at least part 1 is done, the back part, which you know, I did a lot of steps. It took a lot of time, but it's well worth it, because you know, it's going to be quite a car.
Another tip for comfort, safety, etc. You got to roll around on the ground when you're using jack stands. Now I have a creeper, which works great, but then a lot of times you need more pushing and pulling ability, and on a creeper you're just rolling yourself around. So I found that cardboard makes a very nice cushiony surface. Obviously it's a disposable surface, and it allows you to get under there, allows you to paint, allows you to clean things up, allows you to lay on it, sit on it, crawl on it, slide on it, and you can get in and out and do different things, so that you can get this job done. Also note that the new wheel well liners are in. The new used clean ones from the S70, none torn. And yeah, and that's both sides. So that's another plus. So we're getting there. Some of the work that's left to do tomorrow is plug everything in and then put everything back. And then I got to do that before I fire things up. But I'll do one more safety check. I'll plug everything in. I'll put a gallon of gas in, and we'll see what happens. I'm very excited. Of course, we got the new Conies in, Coney shocks, and I'm planning for the future. A future step is to put Coney struts up front. But for right now, I got Coney rears, and I've got Sachs OEM fronts. And the Sachs ones are in pretty good shape. They're really not needing to be replaced anytime soon. But, you know, we're getting there, slowly but surely. Okay, so in process, I bled all the brakes. They're good. Now I'm gonna hang these duals. There's a problem. There's one opening and one's closed. Well, they pop out with little pins. And here happens to be one I did a long time ago. And the reason I took it off is I scuffed it. However, that scuff is kind of low and hard to see. So I am gonna paint this bumper anyways. So this will just get painted when I do that. So in the meantime, I've got a color match trim piece. So here goes. Okay, so I got it back from my car back from the exhaust shop, and they had welded in a piece of 2.5 inside that outer brown piece of 2 1/4 inside the 2.5. So I had to cut that off because that was a restriction. This is 2 1/4 and this is 2.5. So I cut those both off, and I have a repair piece that's going to go in its place, and I'm going to use these sleeves. Okay, I'm going to use these are called band clamps. These are stainless steel. They're pretty nice, and I'll slide them on. They're evil energy. Ooh, boy. Anyways, these things will go over the, I'll put this in place of this and then slide these guys over. See, they slide over and then tighten down. So I'll be doing that next, and I'll show you the results of that. Pretty neat system. And hopefully you could see this one here has a little bit of it's a little cockeyed, but typically you can pull it straight using these guys, I'm hoping. I mean, there's some give in these band clamps, not much though. So, well, here's the piece, the repair piece, and it's in there solid. And these are really strong. These are nice, and they fold a little bit as you clamp them down. But once they're on, I've had really good success with these not coming off. So here's hoping that's continued. But now I do have my mandrel bent piece that he did,
And now I've got a complete 2.5 exhaust coming from the catalytic converter all the way back to the Eurosport tuning mufflers on the back there. So, yeah.
Well, the end of the day, got a lot done to this little girl. I love this car a lot. Put 302 brake conversion on the front when I was got done with all the rear suspension work. She sits very nice with those IPD overloads. I just love the rake. It's got a slight forward rake, just very slight. Sits really nice. Handles well. The IPD sway on there. Those Coney shocks in the back. It's all good. Got the dual exhaust on it. Yeah, the bumper needs love, but that's coming. And yeah, today I washed her and waxed her, and I did my wife's car too. You can see over there. But the other thing I did to it is I added the later model windshield sprayers to the hood. It's just a little thing, but the little things are the things that kind of make a nice difference. I also did freshened up my fog lights. I went through I had several in a box, and I took the best of the best and put it all together. Best reflector, best lens, housing, and then I added LEDs to the fogs, H11 LEDs, and it's much better. It's much better. Overall, she's coming along, little by little. Sorry about the finger there. But thanks for watching, and I'll keep you informed of SAF's progress.